Hey folks, Star Citizen can have a bonkers difficult learning cliff, so I'm going to share a bunch of tips and info that I've learned over my time in the game. They're organized loosely by topic, and let's start with the most important. Press F12 to toggle the in-game chat on and off. This is helpful for taking screenshots or for ignoring people. To remove your HUD for screenshots, press F4 to go to the external camera and hold Z, and press the arrow keys and page up and page down to move the camera, and move your mouse to rotate the camera. You can bind a key to reset the camera too. Middle clicking on an MFD will zoom into the screen and hold that zoom level so you can scroll the screen without zooming. You can map keybinds to activate a stopwatch in your ship's HUD, which is useful for ad hoc racing and tracking profit over time. The rings on your ship's radar are 1, 3, and 5 kilometers in radius, so only ships within 5 kilometers will show up on the radar. The bars on the top of your HUD show your ship's signatures versus the environment. These are used for detecting your ship and for enemy missile tracking. You can turn on the signature emissions values in the menu. The flashing missile icon will tell you what types of missiles are tracking you. Right now you just use decoys to avoid all types of incoming missiles, but that'll change in the future. You can access the inventory of space stations and cities from inside the Armistice Zone without landing. This will change in the future when everything's physicalized, but it's convenient now. Ship storage that's marked as external storage in the inventory UI is accessible by all party members, making it easy to share gear and stacks of ammo and consumables. Double-click on items in your inventory to equip them to your character. If you're naked when you're looting a character or your corpse, you can double-click on the undersuit to equip all of the gear. If you have a partially filled magazine equipped, you can turn on item port helpers and drag a fresh mag over it to replace it, saving you from having to find it on your body. Press J to inspect the weapon that you're currently holding. This is good for quickly adding or removing parts to it. Parts you take off will go into your inventory if you have space. You can bind a key to drop whatever you're currently holding. This is very useful since it lets you avoid the tedious inner thought menu. Shift-click on items in the inventory to transfer them to the opposite inventory on screen. Buy ammo in sets of 20 to 40 magazines so that you don't need to split large stacks one at a time before doing bunkers. Getting to 100% hydration or hunger by eating and drinking will keep you satiated longer than topping up to 99% via a medical bed. When placing an item from the inner thought menu, hold down left click and move your mouse up and down to rotate the item. When holding an item with a tractor beam, hold R and move your mouse and scroll the mouse wheel to rotate it. Press B with your FPS weapons or multi-tools out to activate their alternate firing modes. This also enables you to heal yourself with the medical gun. Hold shift while climbing down ladders to slide down quickly. But going down ladders normally is actually really janky and can clip out of ships, so really, you want to go down a ladder backwards. You'll skip the animation so you drop down really quickly, and you can press forward after a second or two to grab the ladder again to prevent fall damage. And you won't clip out of the ship this way. Press left Alt plus X to wipe your visor. If mission markers don't show up, you can sometimes fix this by untracking and retracking the mission. When cycling the quantum drive, leave it off for a second or two to help it acquire target locations. Help your quantum drive lock your target by moving forward at SCM speed and pointing slightly off-center. OM1 and OM2 are the north and south poles of planets and moons, and can usually see all the other OMs around that orbital body. The diamonds and squares that you see in quantum mode will be larger if the orbital markers and space stations are local to you. Use this to more easily distinguish OMs from farther quantum destinations. If you can't see any quantum markers, try clearing the route in your star map, even if you didn't set one. If you can't set a quantum route, try going to any orbital marker first to get further from the planet or moon. Once you get a notice that you're within the jurisdiction of a planetary system, you can cancel your quantum warp and warp directly to a moon. This can be faster since the planet won't be blocking your line of sight as much. If you quantum to a mission's target location, you'll land 40k out. If you quantum to a location on the map, you'll land about 20k out. If you quantum to a party member, it's only 10k. You only need a game package and a starter ship to play Star Citizen. Most ships are earnable in-game. You can save money on ship pledges if you're patient by buying Warbond CCUs and CCU chaining. Check out this video I made if you want to learn more. Turn off G-Safe to use the full acceleration of your ship. With G-Safe on, the game will limit your maneuverability to keep you conscious, even getting you to the edge of redding out, but you'll always keep control of your ship. But blacking or redding out doesn't do any permanent damage, since a little fuzziness never hurt anyone. Rotate 180 degrees to stop blacking or redding out from G-forces while performing hard maneuvering. Your ship will turn better if you keep the speed in the white, also known as the SCM or Standard Combat Maneuvering range. The difference in turning performance changes from ship to ship. Use your forward strafe and up strafe when possible. Those are the strongest directions of thrust for almost all ships. Hold boost while moving in slow ships to help keep your nose pointed where you want it when aligning quantum while at speed. Press right shift if your ship isn't turning and you're sure that the engines are on and not damaged. You can set keybinds to toggle the ship's SCM speed limiter to easily set the limit to SCM speed or enable or disable the max speed limit. Max the gamma in your video settings when you're escaping prison to make it easier to see the path. You can pay off fines for the lower crime stat levels 1 and 2 at any station, at the admin office, or in cities. Lawful forces won't attack you until you get a crime stat 3. You can turn yourself into that same security terminal to go to prison and get a shorter sentence. You can rotate and quantum away while you're being scanned by security without getting a crime stat. You can remove non-essential components off racing ships to make the ship accelerate a bit faster. Yes, this means the components have weight. To change missiles, you first need to remove every missile on the missile rack. You can do this quickly by removing the rack itself and saving the loadout, or if you can't remove the rack, you can store the ship after shooting all the missiles. Claiming your ship will refuel, repair, and restock it to your customized loadout for free, but you lose any stored cargo or inventory. Repairing a ship that has lost a weapon or component will charge you the cost of the lost items. You might want to claim the ship instead. You can land on pads at stations and outposts without requesting landing and still use them for restocking, refueling, and repairing. Places that are called mining facilities and research outposts almost always have pads. This is supposed to work at all pads except the Grimhex and Lorville racetrack pads, but sometimes they can be bugged. If repairing or refueling doesn't trigger, you can click the buttons in a different order and it often eventually works. Press right Alt plus H to increase the number of decoys fired at once, and left Alt plus H to decrease them. I typically choose between 1 and 4 based on the ship size and number of decoys the ship has. The last place that you requested to land at and were assigned a hangar is where you'll log in next time. You don't actually need to land there unless you want to store your ship. If you die though, the game will set your spawn to your regeneration location until you request to land somewhere else. If your landing gear is down while you're decoupled, your ship will maintain its trajectory, even if in gravity. Press the 8 key to cycle through sub-targeting different parts of your target. The game has a bit of aim assist built in, so this is helpful in targeting specific parts of the ship with your damage. You currently have to scan the ship first in scanning mode to sub-target, but I'm not sure if that's intended or a bug. You can change between lead and lag pip for your targeting reticule. Lead pip is on by default and puts your target reticule where you should place your crosshair to hit your target, so your eyes are often looking in front of the enemy ship to lead your shots. Lag pip is the option I prefer, and it places your reticule on the enemy ship where your shots are predicted to hit, so your eyes are looking at your enemy, lagging behind the crosshair. Actively managing your capacitor is the best way to increase your ship's DPS. The defaults are F5 through F8, but I prefer to set keys to single tap full power to a given system. If you target an enemy and their hull doesn't show up on your target MFD, they are in a soft death state. You can decline bounty hunter certification missions to try and get a closer one without losing any reputation. You only lose the fee that you paid to accept the mission. The group bounties offered by the North Rock Service Group always have quantum markers, but they only spawn in Crusader and Hurston space, and they provide less Bounty Hunters Guild reputation. Ballistic weapons and missiles are pure physical damage, so they have high shield penetration, but ship hulls have 50 to 60% ballistic damage resistance to make up for that until ship armor is implemented in the game. And finally, subscribe to Wing Zero Type on YouTube and say hi on Twitch or Discord for more awesome Star Citizen content. The links are in the description. Thanks for watching this video, folks. I hope you've liked it. Cheers.